Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, May 31st, 2024. It's the end of May already. Now on the front page we have a great picture of a large group of people that congregated in Carberry. It says several hundred supporters turned up to the RJW school grounds despite the wet conditions this past Saturday to the second annual walk/run in honor of Kalina Green. This year's walk was also dedicated to all those who lost a loved one and included Xander's Legacy Fund by Casper Werhan. While last Friday's storm had conditions wet and dreary in Carberry on Saturday, it certainly did not put a damper on spirits. A swath of individuals, family and friends attended the RJW school grounds with walking and running shoes laced up and good to go in support of the second annual memorial fundraiser in honor of Kalina Green. This year's event also included the Campbell family with Xander's Legacy Fund and was dedicated to all who lost a loved one. All were welcome to write the names of their loved ones on their registration cards, wear their favorite colors, share memories, participate in a walk or a run, and enjoy a barbecue and community fellowship to cap off the evening. Donations were being accepted for the Carberry Splash Park and Xander's Legacy Fund. And it goes on to say, although the members of the Campbell family were unable to attend in person that day, an opening comment from Leanne Campbell was provided and read by Jara Green ahead of a moment of silence for those lost. The following is a portion of the statement provided that day. Grieving is one of the loneliest things you will do in this lifetime. Everyone carries their own unique loss or losses in their own way. This Saturday, the community is addressing that loneliness and coming together to remember and grieve those we have lost, said Leanne. We are forever grateful to the Green family for including Xander and his Legacy Fund in the planning of this event. We will continue to honor our amazing son by raising awareness for mental health, honoring his memory by sharing stories, and supporting our community and the activities that he loved. Currently, a tally of donations and a count of participants is still being conducted. And as of discussion with Jara on May 28th, donations were being made. Thank you to everyone who attended from out of our town and from within the community despite the weather. We had a great turnout and a lot of support, said Jara. It was great to see. There were a lot of smiles, laughs, love, and community support, and that's what it's all about. Jara added, we're very thankful for everyone's continued support. Once available, the final results will appear in a future edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So again, here's some more people showing that we're walking. And here These prehistoric characters provided extra fun and smiles for the young attendees in particular. They also joined the walking group on their trek. All right. Katy Martin earns honors at Women of Distinction by Owen Devereaux. The artistic contributions of Katy Martin are already very well known throughout Neepawa, but now her commitment to the community has been acknowledged on a much broader canvas. Martin was presented with the Arts, Culture and Design Award during the 2024 Women of Distinction Gala, held Wednesday, May 15th in Brandon at the Western Manitoba Centennial Auditorium. The Women of Distinction Awards are presented annually by the YWCA to honor those from across Western Manitoba who inspire and contribute to their communities in some manner. This year, there were 39 women nominated in 10 different categories at the celebration. Martin, who recently spoke with the Banner and Press, said she did not have much prior knowledge of this accolade before her nomination, but after learning more about the Women of Distinction, she acknowledged even the nomination unto itself was significant to her and something she hopes to share with others. In mid-April, I received a text from Stacy Sankbell, who is an incredible lawyer and an even better friend, that she had nominated me for this award and that I may hear from the YWCA. I felt elated, honestly, said Martin. I didn't know about these awards before my nomination, but now that I do, I'll certainly be nominating many women for the different categories next year. I think often people see the success a person is having without seeing the struggle. Most success comes with great sacrifice, and having someone validate the hard work, the nights away from my family, the risks, the effort I pour back into my community, and my obsession with personal growth felt pretty amazing. As for the Women of Distinction evening itself, Martin noted that it felt very special being among the other nominees and learning of their stories, struggles, and ultimately their successes. When I walked into this event, opened the program, and read about my fellow candidates, I was overcome with gratitude to just be considered in the same category as them, Martin stated. I smiled knowing I was in the company of such remarkable women and let go of any notion that I would be the winner that night. But Katy did win, as her name was the one read aloud in the Arts, Culture and Design category. Martin said it was a moment that truly caught her off guard, perhaps to a degree that it momentarily threw off her equilibrium. She said, I was truly, truly shocked, so much so that I missed a step on my way up to the stage and fell flat on my face in front of the entire auditorium. I guess that's one way to break the ice, she said jokingly. But in all seriousness, as I shared in my acceptance speech, just being nominated showed everyone in that room that their work matters, that their vision and their drive is worth something bigger than themselves. This latest accolade is one of many Martin has received over the last year. In late 2023, Katy, in a collaboration with fellow Neepawa artist Megan Peters, created an art piece that now hangs prominently at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. The painting recreates a photo of George Armstrong, Todd Sloan, and Dick Duff, who were part of the roster for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 1950s. She also recently received recognition from Agassiz MLA Jody Byram at the Manitoba Legislative Building during her private member statement in recognition of the Women of Distinction Award. Later this year, Martin will present her latest solo artist exhibition as part of the Gold Thread Gala in Clear Lake. That event is scheduled for Friday, July the 5th Further details on that will appear in a future edition of the Banner and Press. So here's a picture of Katy giving her acceptance speech at the Women of Distinction Gala in Brandon on Wednesday, May 15th. That's great. All right, the next article is about the Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary number 23 partnering with Neepawa community groups. On the third Friday of the month, the Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary host a supper at the Legion Hall. At these suppers, they have partnered with several other community groups to help them fundraise for projects. Starting the 2024 year off in January, the Neepawa Air Cadets were presented with a donation of funds to assist in their fundraising for purchase of a flight simulator. And here we have a picture of Captain Amanda Gregorish of the Neepawa Air Cadets. This is Nancy Sintak and Lori Kahinsky. Captain Gregorish of the Neepawa Air Cadets received a donation from these ladies, and in February, the Beautiful Plains Museum President Helen Drysdale received a check from Legion Ladies President Nancy Sintak to assist with the museum's building expansion project. In March, the Neepawa Handy Van manager Justin Kachalski received funds from Legion Ladies President and Vice President Lori Kahinsky to help defray expenses for operation of the handy van services in our community. In April, the Neepawa Wildlife Association, Mike Krukwich, received a donation from the Legion Ladies Auxiliary Vice President Lori Kahinsky to enhance its youth programs. All of the above happenings were catering events prepared in the Neepawa Legion for other community groups. However, in May, the Legion Ladies Auxiliary catered a roast beef meal, with proceeds going to their annual Neepawa Legion Ladies Auxiliary number 23 high school graduation scholarships. One scholarship has been ongoing for over 50 years. Thank you to Neepawa and area residents who have purchased meal tickets to make these banquets such a success. And I think there's a picture of these people, yes, right here. So this is the one that Helen Drysdale got for the Beautiful Plains Museum. And here's Mike Krukrich getting his for the Neepawa Wildlife Association. And this is Justin Kachalski, manager of the Neepawa Handy Van, getting their donation. All right. Now at the Roxy Theatre this weekend, May 31st and June 1st, the movie showing is called The Fall Guy. A down-and-out stuntman must find the missing star of his ex-girlfriend's blockbuster film, rated PG, starting at 7:30 p.m. Note that there are no movies in the month of June, so they'll start up again in July. Okay. And I'll go on to Helen Drysdale, Out of Helen's Kitchen. This week, it is all about fish. Manitoba has over 100,000 lakes and many rivers, so it's no secret that this province has some of the best fishing in Canada. With nearly 100 species of fish, Manitoba has the third most diverse fish population in Canada. Manitoba is famous for its walleye, often called pickerel, which is found in many restaurant menus throughout the province. Depending on where you're fishing, you will find trout, white bass, catfish, northern pike, whitefish, bass, yellow perch, Arctic char, and more. When it comes to fishing in Manitoba, you could go out and fish a different lake every day without ever coming close to exploring them all. There are many popular fishing spots along the Red River. The farther north you go on the Red River, the better the fishing. Go fishing in Falcon Lake, situated in Whiteshell Provincial Park, or Jackfish Lake is in Duck Mountain Provincial Park. Max Lake is in Turtle Mountain Provincial Park, and on it goes. Lake Dauphin is a popular ice fishing destination. This is when walleye fishing is at its finest. Northern Manitoba has fly-in destinations allowing you to fish for trophy lake trout, northern pike, walleye, and Arctic grayling. Before you can set out to your quiet, peaceful spot to fish, you'll need to get a Manitoba fishing license. This applies to all anglers aged 16 and over. It's important to know how many of each type and size of fish you are allowed to keep. In the great outdoors with the sound of water, you will enjoy the tranquility, waiting for the thrill that comes from reeling in a big fish. Remember, early to bed, early to rise, fish all day, and make up lies. Pan frying fish is one of the most delicious ways to cook fresh caught fish. So she has 3 recipes: pan fried fish, creamy lemon baked fish, and fish and veggies in foil. All sound delicious. Now, funds being redirected into Neepawa's pothole problem, which is a problem of late. By Owen Devereaux. Some money already accounted for within the town of Neepawa's 2024 financial plan is being redirected into the roads. Manager of Operation Denise Segway provided an update to Council on Tuesday, May 21st, related to a few projects that had been on the books for this year. Regarding upcoming tenders, we still have some equipment tenders to do and additional road patching, fire hall patching, and stuff like that. A lot of those projects, though, are still up in the air because we looked at reconfiguring some of the allocated budget we had set aside for some of our planned projects for 2024 and redirecting those funds to some of the streets that need additional love and care, said Segway. He clarified that he has specifically sent out requests for quotes on repairs to Mill Street and Hamilton Street from the blocks of Mountain and First Avenue. He noted once those quotes come in, they can be reviewed and approved immediately so that we can pull the trigger on those. As for the general fill of potholes across the community, Segway noted those plans are starting to come together as a unit to assist with road patching has been booked for June. This week, we'll also do some complementary work and have asked the staff to get some hot mix so we can start repairs on some of those bigger craters that we've got. They're getting just outrageous. If the weather can let up, we can manage to get back out there, clean the zones that need to be cleaned, and start patching. We will focus in on some of the biggest ones and then work around that. Council reviewed and approved the request for the reallocation of funds for Mill and Hamilton. There is no specific date just yet for when that work could proceed, but it is expected to advance as quickly as possible. Now here we have a really old picture. Brandon threshing, a threshing operation near Brandon in the 1890s. Wow, no further information was available. If anyone has additional information regarding this photo, please reach out to Casper at the Banner and Press, either by email at newsroom@neepawapress.com. So here's quite a large group of men out in the field with this old threshing machine. Beautiful Plains School Division files defamation suit over parents' online accusations. by the banner staff. A series of social media posts has sparked litigation from the Beautiful Plains School Division. Eric Pandira of the Winnipeg Free Press first broke the story on Friday, May 24th, that the school division had filed a lawsuit in the Court of King's Bench. In its court filings, Beautiful Plains brought action against a woman who the division alleges made defamatory and false comments online accusing teachers of wrongdoing. The lawsuit was filed by the law firm Fillmore Riley LLP, who are based out of Winnipeg. The Free Press report indicated that between April 30th and May 13th, the accused supposedly published multiple videos and posts on her Facebook page, accused teachers from R.J. Wow Elementary School and Carberry Collegiate in Carberry of being abusive to students. The court brief filed by the division also stated that in those photos, the woman mentioned specific principals and teachers and accused a school of being at fault for a number of deaths in the community. When alerted of the videos, Beautiful Plains School Division requested the woman to remove them. According to the court filing, she initially refused, but then removed one and reposted it without the emotional charge. However, the accused allegedly continued to post disparaging remarks and videos about the division and its employees throughout May, according to the court brief first published on May 24th by the Free Press. Since the lawsuit was filed on May 14th, 5 of the videos had apparently been taken down, while 2 videos and 4 written posts had remained online. On May 21st, according to the motion brief, the woman had emailed the division claiming to have taken down all the videos and posts. Oh my goodness. Now, we have a few funny pictures from the fair that happened last weekend. Obviously, we had a really freak snowstorm. It was a real blizzard that happened on Friday, May 24th. So these pictures are what a difference a day and a bit makes, as the rain and snowstorm on Friday made things interesting for the Neepawa District Chamber of Commerce fair over the weekend. Shown here is a series of comparisons between sites at the fair on the day of the storm and those same sites on Sunday, May 26th. With sunny weather available, the grounds were packed and plenty of fun was had. So here's the little merry-go-round with nobody on it and some snow. And then I guess the next day, see the snow in the background here, and then there's green trees the next day. Same here, snow on the ground. The next day, people are on the Ferris wheel. Yeah, here, snow on the ground. And then it was beautiful. You never know with Manitoba weather. Okay, I think I'll come back to that also. All right, this is page 12, Drawing Attention to Youth Arts by Casper Werhan. The Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute, or NACI, will be receiving an art-centered boost next week. This boost comes in a couple forms. These are a fundraiser lunch on June the 6th from 11:15 a.m. to 1:15 p.m. to celebrate the opening of Brad Mummery's exhibit, Earth, Fire, Wind, and presentations to Neepawa students throughout the day. Both activities are taking place at the local Arts and Culture Center, Arts Forward. Brad Mummery has a long-standing history in the arts and for supporting youth art initiatives. As a bus driver, he used to hold annual art contests for his student passengers. He has taught classes such as for scroll saw art for 4-H members. is a member of the Neepawa Area Men's Shed, which makes an assortment of community projects and more. That's what really floats my boat, is inspiring the kids and to see the kids take off, Mummery enthused. Pieces that will be on display at the exhibit, Mummery notes, have been made specifically for the show. It's been about 18 months in the planning, said Mummery. I wanted to get some exposure for not only my art, but to try to bring some culture and beauty to the community and support youth art initiatives through this event. He said the display is going to be set up on a progression basis from where I started, basically, to where I'm at now. I wanted to encourage kids to, when they start making art, to stick with it. It's something that builds over time. Mummery himself has always had an interest in woodworking, having built some furniture pieces in prior years. However, it wasn't until his daughter was born in 1995 that he truly got his start. I went and bought a scroll saw from Co-op, just a cheap one, and I started scrolling Disney characters, cartoon characters, and animals to make a mobile for her, a brightly colored one. And I got hooked on the scroll saw. Shortly thereafter, I'd used someone else's pattern to do a portrait, and it didn't take me long to figure out why am I using someone else's pattern? I can do my own. And I developed an eye for cutting out the dark areas of a photograph to get a portrait. Mummery's journey as an artist has brought him to exploring multiple mediums and methods such as woodworking and scroll saw art, and implementing an airbrush to finish carvings to oils. Oils is the current medium that Mummery is exploring. All are welcome to drop in to Arts Forward on June the 6th to enjoy lunch, support youth arts in the community, and take in the sights on display as part of Mummery's Earth, Fire, and Wind exhibit. And here's a picture of Brad, pictured with one of his works. Wow, really nice. Now, Neepawa Town Council briefs by Owen Devereaux. Some of the notable items were discussed at the most recent Town Council meeting for Neepawa. Some of the topics included the following. Councillor Jason Nadeau confirmed that Debbie Unger, the branch supervisor for the Neepawa Public Library, was retiring. Unger's last official day was Friday, May 24th, after serving for 9 years in the position. Nadeau thanked Unger for her dedication to the library over her tenure. He also noted that interviews for the position are currently underway. Councillor and Deputy Mayor Murray Parrott discussed a recent meeting with Public Works and alternative plans being explored for road repairs. Details on these discussions are expanded upon in the article Funds Being Redirected into Neepawa's Pothole Program, which I just read on page 6 of this week's edition. Councillor Yvonne Sisley notified Mayor and Council that Neepawa had received a grant for participation. The national program started to promote healthy living and physical fitness. Details on the local programs being supported will be updated on the Neepawa Recreation website. Sisley noted that the Neepawa swimming pool will open on Monday, June 3rd. As well, she made a call to action in the community to volunteer for Neepawa's Canada Day festivities. Anyone who would like to help can contact the town office at 476-7600 for further details. Next, Councillor Lisa Pottinger reported that there had been a recent meeting of the board for the Beautiful Plains Community Medical Clinic. She noted the preliminary numbers for the Farm and Leisure Lotto were sounding positive. Pottinger also indicated that there was a discussion of shifting focus for a time from raising money for the clinic building to equipment for the new hospital. That talk, however, is very much in the preliminary stages and is just an idea brought up around the board table at this point. Next, Councillor Marika Kostenchuk offered an update from the recent HAND meeting. A free income tax seminar which recently took place was very well received. As well, the community meal program has maintained good numbers. Next, Chief Administrative Officer Colleen Sensician notified council of a recent correspondence from the Rossburn Trail Association extending an invitation to participate in Manitoba Trails Day event in Erickson on June the 1st. So that's on this Saturday. As for new business, Sensicians shared details on the possible formation of a committee examining a multi-use facility in Neepawa. Representatives with the Yellowhead Centre, the Neepawa Golf and Country Club, and the Neepawa Curling Club are in the preliminary stages of assembling a steering committee to explore options for the future. The town of Neepawa has been invited to seat a member on that committee. Mayor Brian Headley was recommended to fill that seat. It should be clarified that this is in the very early stages of discussion. That's very exciting too. And lastly, the town of Neepawa has agreed to the sale of land on Isabel Street to Habitat for Humanity. Because this is a non-profit organization, the town has agreed to sell the plot at a reduced rate as part of an in-kind amount of support for the endeavor. If the lots are valued at $60,000, then the land will be sold at $30,000, with the in-kind supports for the town at $30,000. Council reviewed and approved the sale. Now we have an article here about the Neepawa Air Cadets holding their annual ceremonial review by Owen Devereaux. A year's worth of hard work, discipline, and dedication were celebrated on Thursday, May 23rd at the No. 9 Royal Canadian Air Cadets Ceremonial Review. Around 15 cadets were in their best uniforms, marched, and did drills while their parents, relatives, and friends looked on with pride. To go along with the ceremony, the cadets were also awarded their levels and rank advancements. The No. 9 Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron is one of the longest-serving squadrons in all of Canada, tracing its history back to 1941. And here we have 3 pictures. Here we have the members of the Neepawa 9 Neepawa Air Cadets posing for a picture at the completion of their 2024 ceremony review and awards. The ceremony featured the cadets in full uniform, marching, doing precision drills for families, members, friends, and administrators. Now, a couple of sports reports. Padres, Pirates, and Royals win in Santa Clara League play. The Portage Padres and Plumas Pirates both won on Wednesday, May 22nd, to stay undefeated on the season. The Carberry Royals was the other winner on a cool Wednesday night. In Neepawa, Portage won 12-5 over the Cubs, winning their second straight road game to open the season. The Padres moved to 2-0 after chasing 2023 top pitcher Garrett Rempel after 4 innings. The Neepawa Cubs, who are 1-1, had 2 hit nights from Nate Stevenson and Cody Pazuwisti. In Minnedosa, the Carberry Royals used all 9 guys to hammer away on the Mavericks, posting a 17-2 victory to earn their first win of the season. The Royals, who are 1-2, got a complete game win from Corey Billiard. Torrey Scott led the way offensively, reaching base all 5 times with 3 hits, 3 runs, and an RBI, and 2 walks, including a game-opening double. Cole Billiard helped his brother earned the win by going 2 for 3 with an RBI and 3 runs scored. The Mavericks, who are 0-2, John Hutton took the loss on the mound while going 1-2 with an RBI to lead the Mavericks. In Austin, Plumas doubled up on the A's, who are 0-1, with a 10-5 victory. The Pirates moved to 2-0 on the season. Nolan Marriott hit a grand slam and drove in 4 for Austin in a losing cause. Alex Clausen took the loss on the bump. And the Neepawa Titans hockey team auto-protect Nolan Kozak by Owen Devereaux. One player has been auto-protected by the Neepawa Titans in advance of the 2024 Bantam Draft. Each year, the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, or the MJHL, announces its auto-protect list, which allows teams to list up to 2 players from their respective home zone. The 2024 Auto Protect list features 21 players born in 2008 who will no longer be eligible for the upcoming draft. This year's list contains a total of 14 forwards and 7 defensemen. For the Neepawa Titans, they auto-protected Nolan Kozak from the Yellowhead AAA Chiefs. The 16-year-old forward played 44 games for the under-18 Chiefs last season, contributing 9 goals and 2 assists. The next order of business for the Titans will be the 2024 MJHL Draft, which is scheduled for Sunday, June the 2nd. Beautiful Plains Museum set for July opening by Stacy Makayeva. Was fashion always a big deal, or is it only cool to keep up with trends today? How did kids complete school assignments without computers before? Why were the first cameras so big? And what did photographers need to know in the past? Find out answers to these questions and lots more when you visit the museum this summer. My name is Stacy, don't know how to say it, Makayeva, and I am the summer curator at the Beautiful Plains Museum this year. I am a third-year science education major at Maranatha Baptist University in Wisconsin. In my free time, I like to be outside with my family, hike, run, and play board games. This year at the museum, you can expect to see new displays, find activities like old-fashioned games for kids, old family records and pictures, and the impact and artifacts of Indigenous people from the past. Whether you have only half an hour or an afternoon to tour the museum, it is worth it to stop by. If you have lived in the Beautiful Plains area your whole life and are able to trace back when your ancestors settled here, then you may find records, pictures, or memories. On the other hand, if you have only lived in the area for a couple of years or are a newcomer, you can go back in time and see what Neepawa and the surrounding area was like. There are old photographs of what Mountain Avenue used to look like before people drove cars. The museum is open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. starting in July. If you have general questions, feel free to call us at 204-476-3896 or after hours at 204-212-2723. We are located on 91 Hamilton Street in Neepawa, Manitoba. Hope to see you explore and learn new things about the past. Okay. Oh, here's another sports. Carberry Lacrosse, okay, by Jolene Belsiunas. The Carberry Collegiate Cougars lacrosse team traveled to Winnipeg on May 21st to face Murdoch McKay for the first time this season. The final score was 13-3 for the Cougars, with goals from Braden Bobier, who got 2, Peter Hillman, Jackson Mueller, who got 3, Colton Knox, Madden Laverne, who got 4, Corbin Knoll, and Jack Ramsey, with Aidan Renwick holding strong in net, keeping the opposition's chances low. This week will be an exciting doubleheader with Brandon's Vincent Massey team in Brandon and then back to our home field at the Carberry Diamonds for an evening match. Please come on out and cheer on your Carberry Cougars. Lacrosse is an exciting sport that our kids are excelling at and enjoy bringing the game to our community. We're so glad to be here. Super Thrifty Drugs is proud to join the Neepawa business community. Look for our grand opening sale flyer and join us May 30th to June 1st for super savings, special deals, prizes, and giveaways. Enter to win one of 3 grand opening prizes. Okay, so we'll go back to page 4. There's a little comic thing at the top, and it says, Frank begins to suspect he may be at the wrong family reunion. The picture is of a whole bunch of evergreen trees, and right in the middle is one tall palm tree. All right, Ken Waddell, right in the center, asked the questions. Disclaimer, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as part of the view of the banner and press staff. Many decades of reading, observing, and writing has caused me to be very interested in many topics. It has also taught me to question just about everything, and I don't mean in a cynical or nasty way. I just think it's good to question just about everything you see, read, or hear. Recently, I read an article by a reputable writer about temperature changes. The article was well thought out and well written and showed that temperatures at various weather stations have gone up since 1950. I do not doubt that that is true. What I want to know is where those weather stations are located. If they are located at airports, as they often are, let's think back to 1950. Take the Winnipeg Airport, for example. In 1950, it was an open prairie area with few buildings around it. There wasn't nearly the acres of concrete that are there now, and the number of airplanes was far fewer in number. The planes were mostly single-engine planes, some with 2 engines, and a few 4-engine planes. Jets were rare. Do you see any factors in that description that might be adding to the temperature at Winnipeg Airport since 1950? Any claim about temperature increases at Winnipeg Airport need to be examined in light of those changes. I know for a fact that the airport was in the middle of a wide expanse of open prairie, not only from looking at old maps and pictures, but because my older brothers told me they could run out from their house on the last street on the west side of Winnipeg and play near the airport. Great fun watching the World War II planes coming and going all day. Back in my university days in the 1960s, we were told the world was running out of oil. All the oil that was made by compressed plant life and dinosaurs or whatever would run out. There's 2 problems with that story. One is we haven't run out of oil yet. They are discovering more all the time. And who is to say that the Earth's pressure might be still squishing stuff onto more oil? Oil shortages may come someday, but we certainly haven't met the targets that people set in the 1960s. We've also been told that the solution to poverty is more government money. I am sure government has a role to play in battling poverty, but I think poverty has a lot to do with attitude. Let it be said, if someone is in a bad situation, They need help, no question. That help needs to come from family when available, community when available, from faith groups whenever possible, lots of places. Poverty is real, but it can be beaten one family at a time. There's another problem these days. Food is very expensive. That's for sure, no question, but compared to what? If a person owns 2 or 3 homes or goes on unnecessary trips, are they short of money for food or victims of misplaced priorities? Food is still pretty cheap in this country. And here's a story that amuses me. People love their junk food, their pets, and their entertainment. If you are feeling a bit pinched, are those 3 things really necessary? You can't blame the cost of food on junk food, pet food, expensive family holidays, and yes, disposable diapers. There was a day when parents bought or made washable cloth diapers. A bit messy, but for those who are truly concerned about landfills, remember that 40 billion disposable diapers end up in the landfill every year. Then finally, why on earth do we use bottled water? Really, bottled water? In most communities, the water is good enough to drink from the tap. Even if the chlorine level is a bit high, let the water sit in a jug for a few hours, that's what we do, and it will be fine. These are just some random thoughts on what have become accepted facts that need to be questioned once in a while. Always question things. Be nice about it, but ask the questions. Now, Rita Friesen, Homebodies. This week, her article is entitled Smoldering. Scrolling through the news the other night, I stopped and listened to a Canadian broadcaster explain how some of the fires currently burning in British Columbia, and it happens elsewhere, are not man-made or caused by lightning strikes. They are fires that smoldered underground all winter, and once the earth above the embers was dry enough, a full-fledged fire emerged. Yes, there is enough air below the surface, especially in areas where there is peat or decades of decay amassed. Nothing he said was new to me or surprised me. Rather, it took me back 15 or so years. While residing on the acreage east of Neepawa, we had a designated burn area. All winter long, fallen branches would be piled in a spot just northeast of the house, east of the, for us, coal barn. Come spring, there would be the regular tree trimming and pruning, and again, all debris heaped on the pile. It made for some glorious after-dark bonfires, mini wiener roasts with toasted marshmallows for dessert. In short, a family favorite location enjoyed by several generations. It must have been a drier than usual summer, for despite the fire being thoroughly doused before leaving the site. That is mandatory that the water hose be connected on site at the ready, as well as several pails of water on standby, always. Anyways, dousing the fire before leaving the site, a few days later we spotted wisps of smoke feet away from the fire pit site. A quick look revealed that the fire had traveled underground through the decades of manure, is my guess, and ignited the dry grass on the surface. Assessing the situation, we poured on much water, mowed a large area, and removed all the clippings. It happened more than once. The most dramatic was the morning I looked out the upstairs bathroom window and spotted an ancient maple ablaze, meters away from the start point of the fire. I was heading out to work, so I alerted the grandson, aware that he would be capable of handling the situation. Now, to be fair, sharing this memory with him, he felt that the old maple was the result of another fire. Knowing Ed's stand on frivolous fires, and especially after 1 or 2 incidents, I hope sincerely that this was one and the same underground, smoldering blaze. My reflection veered to meddling. How many times have I stuffed an emotion, usually a negative one, deep down underground? The heat of the moment passes, the undealt with anger or disgust or despair buried, until the conditions are ideal for the smoldering ember to be fanned into flame. And sadly, too often, the recipient of the negative emotions is not deserving of it, or the source of it, simply present at the wrong time. There are times when the conflagration erupts far from the source, but erupt it will. I would like to think that I am learning as I go through life, just as we learn to be much more safety conscious with our bonfires. I would like to think that I have been much more careful with dealing with all my emotions, positive and negative, protect the innocent. And all this from a newscast. Taking the Back Door, Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. It was the worst score I had ever received on a test. I was taking a summer course, one of 2 university courses I needed to complete my theology degree. This class proved to be a real challenge. The instructor knew the course material very well, but had trouble communicating with class members. Class sessions were 2.5 hours per day, 5 days a week for 3 weeks. I took detailed class notes and reviewed them faithfully. Then came the first section exam, 20 multiple choice questions, not one of which had anything to do with the material covered in class. They were all based on assigned readings from the text, and to me at least looked like they had been chosen from a booklet of possible exam questions which the book's publisher supplied to instructors. Answers were recorded on a separate sheet and graded electronically. In this case, the computer did not lie. My score was very, very low. Fortunately, it was worth only 10% of my final grade. But I learned how that instructor created exams. So for the next 2, including the final, I mastered the assigned readings and earned very high remarks. So I can relate to the answers a veteran insurance agent gave a new recruit who had just joined his agency. "Sir," the recruit asked the veteran, "how did you become so successful?" "Well, that's easy," the veteran replied. "I used good judgment." "And how," the recruit continued, "did you acquire good judgment?" The veteran smiled and said, "By making mistakes." "And why," the recruit concluded, "did you make mistakes?" Looking him in the eye, the veteran answered, "Poor judgment." That's how life is for all of us. We live, we work, we do some things well, but far too often it seems we make mistakes. And from the moment we make those mistakes, we must deal with the looks, hear the words, and cope with the attitudes of those around us, some of which say, "You are a failure. You will never amount to anything." Well, don't you believe it. You are not a failure. You have never been a failure, and you will never be a failure. You are just taking the back door to success. And as you recover from your mistakes, you will learn 2 important lessons God wants us all to learn. First, don't let your past determine your present or define your future. Learn from your mistakes. Find out what caused them, where you showed the poor judgment that led to your mistakes. You made them once, just like I did on the exam I referred to earlier, but you don't need to repeat them, and you won't if you learn from them. Second, God uses our mistakes, our failings, and even our sins to deepen our faith in Him and to point us in the direction He wants us to go. St. Paul, who experienced this truth in his own life, put it this way: "We know that for those who love God, all things work together for good." Romans 8, verse 28. Human history is filled with stories of people who made colossal blunders, but who, by God's grace and with his help, were able to recover from their mistakes, rebuild their credibility, and live out their days with wisdom, humility, dignity, courage, and integrity. Our stories can end the same way. God specializes in taking broken people, putting them back together again, and using them to bring hope, help, and healing to others. He can do that for you. Believe and you will receive. All right. The Gladstone Cattle Market Report by Tyler Slowinski. The month is called May for a reason. It may feel like summer or it may feel like rain. Heck, it might even snow. Parts of the province are not lacking moisture to get things going. In fact, things are perhaps a little too wet to get any crop in. Heat and sunshine seems to be what's lacking in the forest to get things growing. Well, if one can't make dust in the fields, might as well get the cattle moved out to pasture. When it comes to marketing cattle this time of year, quality generally starts to decline while varieties of cattle increase, making it tough to fill loads and orders. The market this week was fairly active. Cattle fit for breeding or grass are bringing prices that shouldn't be complained about, and cows and bulls are also on the most wanted list with high demands. Supply and demand is definitely supporting the cattle market. We sold 684 cattle through the ring in Gladstone on May the 28th. The market saw a variety of cattle. The market seemed slightly stronger in most spots, but was fairly steady for the most part. In some cases, certain weight breaks trended softer, which made for a mixed outlook. The first cut cattle are becoming few and far between and are still in high demand. Second and third cut cattle are definitely showing signs of pressure, but are still bringing plenty more than they did 1 year ago. Cows and bulls traded with plenty of strength from 170 to 185 with stronger averages. Bulls traded with power ranging between 215 to 230. All right, now, where was that other? All right. Provincial seeding progress. Submitted by Manitoba Agriculture. As of Tuesday, May 28th, provincial seeding progress is about 64% complete and behind the 5-year average for this point of the season, which usually stands at 75%. Producers have focused on planting corn, 80% complete, spring wheat, 87% complete, barley, 79% complete, and peas, 96% complete. Canola planting continues with 41% of the acres planted. Soybean planting is at 55% completion. Producers are planting a variety of crops based on soil and weather conditions. Winter cereal fertilizer applications are complete with field survival at 85 to 95% and only a few fields terminated. Winter cereal stands are growing rapidly and tillering in the warm temperatures with fields greening up dramatically. Cereals in the central region are the most advanced, with much of the early seeded cereals at the 5-leaf stage with 1 tiller. Spring wheat seeding is at 87% complete, barley seeding is at 79%, and oats is at 76% across the province. Grain corn planting is 80% complete, with most of the early planted corn at the V3 stage. Oilseeds. Both canola and sunflower planting is at 41% completion across the province. Pulses and soybeans. Field pea planting is at 96% completion across the province. Soybean planting is at 55% completion across the province. Dry bean planting is at 24% completion across the province. Rains throughout the week and over the weekend are stimulating pasture growth, and the landscape is green. Hayfields and pasture are both in good shape, with standing water in some areas. Tame hay growth is now up to 16 inches. Pastures and alfalfa are quickly greening up and will make use of the current availability of moisture. All low-lying areas and ditches have water standing or flowing. Alfalfa stands are about 12 inches tall and dense. Most bromes and ryegrasses are building up steam and tillering. And for livestock, several beef cattle operations have animals fully on pasture, and others are making the move as weather conditions permit. Most cattle have entered some kind of pastures to avoid the mud which has appeared in the overwintering areas and to make the most of the strong pasture growth. In some cases, there may be enough growth to meet livestock nutritional needs, but supplementary feeding is still taking place on some farms. Producers are checking their fences and carrying out necessary maintenance work ahead of the grazing season. Cattle vaccination is underway. Calving is ongoing but will wrap up by the end of the month. Dugouts are full and water levels are currently adequate. Expanded details on the weekly crop report can be found online at www.gov.mb.ca/agriculture/crops/seasonal reports/crop report/pubs/crop report 2024-05-28. All right, Canadian beef exports higher by Sean Kabak. Canadian beef exports have been gaining traction in 2024, with monthly volumes up 2 to 16% from January to March. Beef exports in the first quarter of 2024 totaled 136,842 tons, up 9% in volume from the same period last year and 23% higher than the 5-year average. Domestic beef production in the first quarter was steady with last year and up 3.7% from the 5-year average. Larger exports suggest the international consumer was willing to pay more for beef, pulling product away from the domestic consumer. Exports to the U.S. total 102,000 tons in the first quarter, up 11% from 2023 and 27% higher than the 5-year average. Beef imports have also been above year-ago levels throughout the first quarter, totaling 47,300 tons. Imports were up 15% from last year and up 12% from the 5-year average. Even though beef imports went up along with exports, there was a net increase in Canadian beef exports. Now, for Canadian field crop stocks, mostly lower. As of March 31st, 2024, total stocks of wheat, oats, corn, and soybeans were all down, while stocks of canola and barley increased, compared with the same period in 2023. Total wheat stocks were down 15.4% year over year to 11.8 million tons as of March 31st. On-farm stocks fell 15.9% to 8.4 million tons, while commercial stocks decreased 14.2% to 3.4 million tons. Stocks of canola were up 17.5% year over year to 8.3 million tons as of March 31st. The gain was attributable to a 16.3% increase in on-farm stocks to 6.7 million tons and a 22.7% rise in commercial stocks to 1.6 million tons. Canola exports for this period were down 36%, well below the 5-year average. The decrease in canola exports was due to high global supplies of soybeans and palm oil. Domestic use of canola, largely for crushing, reached a record 8.1 million tons, up 10.8%. Total stocks of grain corn were down 8.9% year over year to 8.3 million tons. On-farm stocks decreased 6.9% to 5.3 million tons, while commercial stocks fell 12.3%. Imports of grain corn rose 62.4% to 1.8 million tons because of increased demand for animal feed in Western Canada. Soybean stocks edged down 0.9% year over year to 2.0 million tons as of March 31st. Both on-farm stocks down 0.9% to 1.2 million tons, and commercial stocks down 0.9% to 893,000 tons decreased. Barley stocks increased 10.5% year over year to 3.1 million tons as of March 31st, 2024. Domestic use, largely for feed, decreased 2.3% to 4.8 million tons as cattle producers in Western Canada opted to feed more corn. Exports of barley also decreased, falling 37.2%. Stocks of oats decreased by 50.9% year over year to 1.3 million tons. This decrease was largely caused by low production during the 2023 growing season. Total stocks of lentils, flax, and rye dropped 41%, 10%, and 42% respectively. All right, we don't have much time left, but we'll see what we can read here on looking back. 1975, provincial track meet gets Olympic fanfare. 75. The picture shows the 1975 Manitoba Secondary Schools Athletic Association B track meet had an Olympic-style kickoff in May of that year. A torch was to be carried cross-country by dozens of Manitoba track stars. The torch was in Neepawa on May 27th. Heather Parrott was the lead runner for NACI students who accepted the torch from a Gladstone student. And here's a picture of them. So also that year, 50 years ago, Ken Petchko, a former resident of McCreary who has spent the past year attending university in Ottawa, has embarked on a trip to India, making his way through several Middle East countries connected en route, and has consented to write a series of articles on his experience. Sydney Raymond Keel received the degree of Bachelor of Education at the 8th Annual Spring Convocation of Brandon University at the Western Centennial Auditorium on Saturday, May 24th. Mrs. Sid Keel, Leslie Lyle, and Mrs. Keel's mother, Mrs. Lillian Alexander of Verdun, attended the ceremony. George Everett McKinnon received his degree and a gold medal in Bachelor of Education at the same time. Mrs. McKinnon and children, Randy and Kathy, attended. Both Mr. McKinnon and Mr. Keel are on the McCreary Collegiate teaching staff. 20 years ago, May 30th, 2005, Neepawa Town Council approved a variation order Tuesday allowing the Vivian Hotel to construct a smoking terrace, but only after imposing several conditions. Meanwhile, a Carberry bar owner defied the province's no smoking ban, has been charged with 3 counts of letting customers light up in his establishment. Oh my goodness. And lastly, I'll just show you this picture. This is from May 1975. This was part of a larger ad from the Royal Cafe in Neepawa. Our new menus are getting raves. Since we introduced Mandarin-style Chinese dishes to Neepawa a few weeks ago, word has been getting around. It's deliciously different. We enjoy cooking for satisfied diners, and we thank the many people who have congratulated us on our new menus. This is David Kwok, our new cook from Taiwan with experience in some of Vancouver's leading restaurants, delights in creating palate-pleasing Mandarin dishes, and he invites you to join us. All right, well, that does it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Thank you for joining us this week, and hopefully we'll see you another week. So bye for now.